We picked up a sound that appeared to be a fart.
Hello, welcome to Ghost Adventures. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And this week we are talking about Season 2, Episode 3, the La Purisima Mission.
That's right. Originally aired June 19th, 2009. I don't know, Kristen. gut impulse. What's your feeling on this episode?
Again, for Season 2. I don't know if it's that we've gotten so familiar with these friends. I don't know what it is. I'm still really enjoying watching it. Like, just as a person watching a TV show, I'm having a good time watching it. I'm feeling like there aren't a lot of like punchy moments to really be yucking it up about. Like, I'm very glad that we, for other reasons, decided to loosen up our format and just freeform talk about the show. Because as far as slotting things into what we did in Season 1, into things like most dramatic moments, stuff like that, I feel there aren't that many of those moments that are like, bam, this is a chunk of time that we must talk about.
Yeah, I wonder, Season 1 felt ridiculous and big. They had something to prove.
Right.
And I almost wonder if in Season 2, this is a very weird point, but I remember when Jimmy Fallon became the host of The Tonight Show, Jerry Seinfeld said something that was really funny, but also really interesting. He was like, one of the reasons that Jerry Seinfeld, never wanted a job like this is because it's a Pope job. You just do this for life now. Every night, you have to do the exact same show, and I might stop watching it for 10 years, but then I can check in and look and go like, okay, yeah, he's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
He's doing the same thing.
That's a weird thing for him to have said to him.
I couldn't agree more, but he was also right.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Do you remember what Jimmy Fallon said?
Jimmy Fallon has been the nation's punching bag.
Yeah.
He just rolled with the punches and smiled and laughed. He's a good-natured guy.
He definitely is. I love Seinfeld, but it was quite rude.
He takes a lot of hits, Jimmy Fallon.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He's a good sport.
But I feel maybe that is what's going on with Ghost Adventures. They started off strong in Season 1. They said a bunch of ridiculous things, but they had something to prove. And now I'm wondering if here in Season 2, they're kind of like, all right, well, we need to settle in for a long winter's nap where we just do this same thing everywhere we go every week. Nothing will be different ever.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. So maybe we shouldn't be using up all our energy and just kind of doing our thing. I think there could be something to that because maybe there was like a really acute awareness of like, we are making a show. We are making a TV show and we have to deliver on drama. And now they're like, okay, we don't necessarily have to. Also, I wonder if they got, feedback about how ridiculous they were.
Maybe
in Season 1, and maybe consciously decided to scale back a little bit.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, I don't know. But either way, we've got this episode where they go to the La Purisima mission, which tells me it's a Spanish mission, right? Which tells me that Zach is continuing his war, which started last week, where he's starting to get upset with the Spanish.
I know. I was like, this doesn't seem like the time to be bringing him to a Spanish mission. He's already hot.
He's at the height of his Spanish rage.
Yes. He thinks what did he say? I think I'm angry at the Spanish.
It's starting to get me angry with the Spanish.
It's starting to get me angry with the Spanish. That's right. But Will, something about his look here, I feel like further supported your hypothesis that the second episode was meant to be the first episode of the season.
Oh, really?
It's his hair, William. His hair this week looks like his hair in the first episode.
Oh,
the
interesting.
outlier is the second. In the second episode, it's not as long. First and third, very long.
Okay.
So we're playing with time here, but also it made me think that when we were even talking about the chronology of the show, with this kind of show, they probably don't film it necessarily in the order that they're planning on airing it.
Totally.
It like almost doesn't matter.
No.
So who the hell knows?
There's no continuity.
Exactly. So it really doesn't, it's hard to pick apart, but I did notice that the second episode does seem to be out of time in the chronology.
Interesting. Okay.
Just normal,
Yeah. Good pickup. The mission itself is and they're like pre-investigation stuff. They're interviewing people around the area, and they learn a number of things. They learned that this was an area where originally a Native American tribe called the Chumash They lived until the Spanish sort of took over the land and pushed them out to build the mission. Eventually, the Chumash rose up to fight back to try to take back their land. There was a tremendously bloody battle, hundreds of people killed. And so we end up with a bunch of ghosts where there was a particular priest, a Padre Mariano Payeras. Mm-hmm. He may still be haunting the mission. Beds in the mission to this day will suddenly appear unmade.
I like that.
I like that too. It's like a small little touch, you know?
Yeah. It's a cool detail.
It's a cool detail. It's like the books moving in Ghostbusters, where it's ultimately inconsequential, except it's just there's something here there's no rest.
Right.
Right.
Right, totally. I learned something that I didn't know about before that I had to Google. Did you know the phrase 3 hots and a cot?
That stood out to me too. No, did you looked it up?
Yes, I did. So 3 hots and a cot refers to the idea of 3 hot meals and daily and a bed to sleep in.
Okay, that was what the Spanish had offered the Chumash.
Yes.
Like, we'll give you everything you need. 3 hots and a cot.
But
3 meals and a place to sleep. That's all you need.
It's mostly associated with prison. So so it's not like they were offering them like the nicest accommodations, pretty bare bones. You'll get 3 hots and a cot. That's it.
Okay. It wasn't quite chicken in every pot.
No.
And a car in every driveway or whatever.
No, it wasn't like a homey welcoming thing. It was like you can have this sort of bare minimum.
Yeah. We'll give you the absolute least required for you to live.
Right.
How charitable.
Yeah, totally. These Spanish people are really going for it.
It's kind of making me angry against the Spanish.
It's kind of making me angry against the Spanish. I'm not angry against the Spanish, but it's just so weird that this is 2 episodes in a row.
I have to imagine
it's about the Spanish invasion. You know,
I know. I have to imagine that I guess the collective group, the Spanish,
right,
they're not thrilled with Zach Bagans. I wonder if somebody to this day is like, no. He declared war.
Yeah.
We are at war.
He drew a line in the sand with what I can only imagine is a very heavy black boot.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Speaking of his clothes, from the first moment that he appeared on camera, he walks in from like far away, like walks out of a building, and the sun is out, and his shirt, he's wearing a black shirt, and it's just shining. It's shiny around the midsection. It looked like he'd wrapped like duct tape around his tummy.
Really? I didn't notice that.
Then later, once we start getting like closer up shots of him, it's like this metallic tribal pattern that's on his shirt. And I guess it was picking up light in those first 2 shots. But I almost thought that they had taped his mic to him or something like that. It was like bizarre. It almost made his shirt look wet.
I can't believe I missed that.
Go back and take a look at it. It's worth it, I guess.
Maybe it was some sort of like rayon blend that has some sheen to it.
Fascinating. If only we could get the answers.
Well, he did have that clothing line back in the day that Bethany talked about.
Right.
Our friend Bethany Watson on the show An Acquired Taste. She has an episode where she kind of goes deep on Zach Bagans, and he had a clothing line. So maybe we could find out. Theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically, we could find out when his clothing line started.
I'm going to look right now.
And cross-reference it with when this episode was made. We know it was released in June 2009, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything based on his clothing line. Like, we need to know the filmed date against the clothing line.
I think from this that it may have begun in 2013.
Okay.
The clothing line. So it seems like this shiny shirt predates the clothing line.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
What was his clothing line called?
Reaper.
Of course. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Huh. Okay.
I've never been less
I think
surprised.
Yeah, I know. It completely makes sense. About Reaper, death is dead. Reaper is life. Reaper represents an awakening from the darkness of the Reaper and an awareness of the afterlife.
Wait.
Reaper represents an awakening from the darkness of the Reaper and an awareness of the afterlife. This is from Zach's point of view. Through my experiences, I have come to know that life lives beyond death, which the Reaper represents. For years, I've studied and investigated the paranormal, and through these interactions, the Reaper has come alive to me in the form of spirit manifestations. As our emblem signifies, the Reaper does not look at you. he turns and bows his head into submission. Reaper knows we have found life beyond him, and he can no longer intimidate us. Those who bear the Reaper brand are allured by the mysterious world of the paranormal and otherworldly dimensions. We find the dead more interesting than the living, and we welcome the conjuring of spirits. We have heard, felt, and seen them. We don't care about how this world views us. Darkness reborn. We are Reaper.
Hold on. Has he defeated the Grim Reaper?
Yeah, I think that this is what we're getting from this.
That's surprising.
Huh.
He made the Grim Reaper submit to his will?
Yeah, I guess he got him to bend.
When did he do that?
In 2013, apparently, and then he made a clothing brand based around that.
If you defeat the Grim Reaper, do you get his job or anything? Like, do you get something cool, or just your own clothing line? Just
your own clothing line, because I don't think Zach Bagans is the new Grim Reaper. I think he's just, he's just not scared of the Reaper. The Reaper bows his head, I believe, quote, into submission.
Yes.
At Zach.
Yeah, but that means that he's defeated him. Like, if somebody submits,
but not like killed him. You know what I mean?
Not so like killed him, but like
the Zach Reaper is still
above him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
He also said in there that he's come to learn that life lives beyond death.
Right.
He needs a copy editor.
Yeah, correct. I can't believe it.
Extends beyond death, not lives.
Or other words. I know. It's very weird. I don't know how this happens.
I don't know.
Does he like draw a hard line where he won't be edited? Like, is this his equivalent of, a celebrity not wanting to be looked in the eye? He refuses to be edited?
Yeah, one take Baggins. What he says is the law.
Oh my God.
You saw what he did to the Reaper. You want him to get angry with you?
William, shut up.
Okay.
It turns out that the Reaper clothing line was released on November 30th of 2013.
Whoa.
My very birthday.
This is fate.
Yeah.
You got to get yourself some Reaper clothes. Is it still going?
I don't think so. Let me see. I'm clicking on ZachBagans.com, which is where the Reaper stuff was sold
naturally
from.
Yeah.
It's taken a minute to load.
Okay.
Huh. Well, I don't know. Maybe ZachBagans.com isn't like a super visited site, because he does have, the Haunted Museum.
Right.
This site can't be reached. Huh.
ZachBagans.com doesn't work. It's dead. Yeah. Rest in peace.
Yes. Well, maybe so it lives beyond life or whatever.
I guess not. It seems like it maybe lasted from 2013 to 2020 at tops.
That's surprising. He doesn't have his own website. I'm just going to put Zach Bagans into Google and see if maybe it's like, ZachBagans.net now or something, maybe something happened.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't really look like it. I don't think he has his own personal site.
Huh. All right. Well, he doesn't.
All right.
Need
so
one.
I'm going to go ahead and say that the Reaper is not available that way still, but I bet you could find some stuff on eBay.
Yeah. Maybe the Reaper refused to submit any longer.
Yeah. Maybe he decided to lift his head.
Yeah. I lift my head to you, Bagans. Zach will not submit. He will not go quietly into that good night.
Oh, never.
Whatever.
It's not how he does it.
So what stood out to you in this episode, Kristen?
Well, I thought the stories that the witnesses they spoke to in the beginning before the investigation they were pretty cool stories. So there was a tour guide who told Zach about a ceremony that they have regularly there honoring the dead, and that there was a guitar player who was playing and singing and walking around the room while he did it. And in this room, there is the grave of Padre Mariano Bayaris, and it has like a grave marker on it. It's not like a regular headstone sort of thing. It's really just inlaid in the floor where it says, here lies, all the details and everything. And so I guess it's fine and encouraged that people hang out in that room, in that space, but you would just think, just kind of common courtesy, it's not super nice to like step on someone's headstone or grave.
Yeah.
So this guitar player wasn't doing it maliciously. He was just kind of like walking around and playing the guitar and singing for people. And he noticed that every once in a while, his guitar was just going out of tune randomly and then coming back into tune a couple seconds later. And he eventually realized that happened whenever he would wander over and stand on the grave of Padre Mariano Bayaris.
That is pretty cool.
I thought that was cool, yeah.
It's a cool idea that I've never heard before. You know, that's really what I'm looking for in ghost stuff, is like something inventive and interesting.
Right.
And I like
I've never seen a grave like that before.
Like inlaid into the ground?
Yeah, and just in the center of a room in a building.
I guess. I think that when Allie and I want to say in London, we took a tour, maybe it was the Tower of London, and I think there are a lot of burial plots like that in historic buildings.
Oh, okay.
Where they're just sort of like part of the architecture. But I do associate it with like a very old historical sort of thing. And Father Payeras, it was way back in the early 1800s. So that makes it long enough ago for it to be a sort of like ancient practice, I guess, to put your dead in the building itself.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then another story that I liked that they heard from a reenactor was that because they have reenactments here almost like if you go to Gettysburg or something, but it has to do with the Spanish invasion and this sort of time. And a reenactor felt themselves touched on the back, which is kind of, that's pretty standard. But they also talked about how they, along with other people they worked with, noticed barefoot footprints in the sand in the area that they work in, and that no one is really ever walking around barefoot there, which makes sense to me. It's like your place of business to a degree and or a historical site that people visit. So I like the idea that there are like barefoot ghost footprints.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's something that would super duper stand out, obviously. I don't know, anything that catches the eye like that and makes you have to go like, either someone here was surprisingly walking around barefoot for some reason. Right,
maybe going to or from the shower that I'm sure they have there.
Oh my God, yeah, of course. Yeah, everyone's got a shower. Every old building, one of the first things they do when they revamp it is put in a shower for everyone.
That's right.
But like, obviously that's something that stands out and makes you go, oh no, there's a spirit that is disturbing the sand.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, quite
strange. Those stories are interesting. It's funny. I'm turning on the show in a way where I'm starting to like the setup part. Where during the day they interview people who are familiar with the building,
right,
and can share stories of things that they've encountered. And then at lockdown, it's just Nick, Aaron, and Zach running around and screaming at each other.
Yeah, it's fun, but the lockdown part is kind of usually more of the same. You can kind of guess what's going to happen. It's that there's going to be chaos, there's going to be goosebumps, all that kind of stuff. And so there's a little bit more variation in the setup and talking to witnesses part of the show now.
Yes, it's fun to sort of like hear those local stories. I love the idea of like local haunts. I keep thinking about, by the way, we did an episode on Guide to the Unknown, our mothership show, Spirits of Somerset County, which you're in now. You've moved, you live there now. And I think a lot about the ghosts that we talked about in that episode because they are so small and localized and unknown. It's really interesting to hear oddball stories from just some place.
Yeah. I agree. It makes you think that everywhere has these stories.
Oh, yeah.
If you just get to talk to the right person.
Totally. I almost think doing the reverse of this show would work well. Do the lockdown, and then the next day, speak to everybody who works in that facility to cross-reference your evidence against what they say.
That's an interesting idea because I do feel like a lot of, what your prior knowledge is has to just naturally, anybody, not even a dig at Zach or anybody, affect what you see when it's a ghost.
Yes.
Like at the end of the episode, they talk to somebody who's like a paranormal expert in California named Richard Sennett, and they show him something that they caught on thermal camera, which I did think was kind of cool. Like they had a thermal camera set up pointing at this mountain, and there was nothing there just in the midst of what the mountain is taking up in the frame. And at some point in the night, this very small figure showed up on it. And who knows what that is? It didn't look like it was shaped. It looked like it was something standing upright. It could not have been, but that's what it appears to be. And so you would naturally maybe think like, oh, okay, so maybe that's a ghost that manifested and it showed up. And when they showed Richard Sennett, he was like, well, it looks like a Spanish soldier. And I was thinking to myself, what? Like,
Yeah,
it just looks like he's like, see, it has a cross going across. And I was like, it's just yellow.
Right.
Like, I'm not seeing that detail. So it's definitely, I think, a case of making what you see fit the information that you already have.
Totally.
So it would be really interesting if they went to a place, had no prior knowledge of it, except that it's haunted, obviously, because why else would they be there? And just experience what they experience. And then to talk to people afterward and have them tell the crew things that they maybe are like, oh my God, we actually experienced something like that.
Yes.
I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, that would be a lot more interesting to me at this point. I loved that thermal camera ghost.
Yeah.
That was for sure my like best evidence or most dramatic moment or whatever.
Right.
I loved the idea that they've got the thermal cameras. They're comparing a shot of the exact same area taken just moments ago where there is no, dot in the center of the frame. And then they're showing you the new footage where they've got this just blip, this thing off in the distance that I guess is registering with a high enough temperature that it's reading on the camera. And it's like the Predator vision in the movie Predator, where it can only see temperature readings and everything. But it's just a little tiny figure way off in the distance. And they're like, Zach describes it as being like, it was shaped like a person, but without legs, which made me think of the Ray Stantz from Ghostbusters thing of classifying ghosts, and he refers to that as a free-floating, full torso vaporous apparition.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, this is like classically ghosty. Even just the idea of, well, we're here at the mission.
Right.
And 2 football fields that way, there's just a thing facing us.
Right.
Just watching. Not moving, just looking. And what is that? And that
why?
Yeah. Does that mean that is where that person or whatever it is died? Does that mean that they are they sneakily just observing you from a million feet away?
I think that Richard Sennett kind of came up with the theory that maybe it was part of a residual haunting, where maybe it was one of the Spanish people who was maybe going up that mountain to pursue the Chumash Native Americans. I think that that's what he was saying, is that maybe they just kind of like caught a manifestation of somebody who in their ghostly state is just doing their same task over and over again, just sort of unabated.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I don't know.
But it's a total guess. There's no reason to think that. I mean, he said that 1,000%. It looked like it was wearing a hat.
I know. All those things where they like just look at a photo and go like, it's probably this complicated story. It's just like their ability to improvise,
Yeah. And just kind of assimilate information around a thing, which, it's fun to think about.
Sure, very fun to think about.
Sure, you could theorize that, but I don't know. There's in that case, there's just literally nothing to support that at all.
Yeah.
There's something to support, let's say, even like generously, that is a manifestation of something.
Right.
Further than that, I don't think there's anything to support a storyline.
Absolutely not. There's, by the way, arguably better odds that it is just, I don't know, a rabbit.
Yeah, right. Like, that's why I was saying it looks like it was something standing upright, but you don't know, especially from that distance. It could have been an animal that's sitting, so you're not seeing the sort of like horizontal angles of an animal walking or something. So
1,000%. Yeah. And even though they're like, it wasn't there a moment ago, like, okay, well, maybe it lives in a burrow under the ground and it popped out for a moment.
Right.
And you took the picture and it went back in.
Right.
Like, it doesn't mean it's definitely a ghost.
No. But while you're ghost hunting.
Yeah, I know. But I really enjoyed it. I thought that was really fun. The other thing that jumped out at me, like of interesting evidence, because we could see it with our own eyes, was the moment that they used the temperature.
Oh, yeah.
The thermometer.
What the hell was going on there?
That was getting like the ambient temperature around them, and it fluctuated from 70 degrees all the way down to 40 and was jumping all over the place within that spectrum. And you could see the actual readout on the thermometer jumping up and down. And part of me, the cynic part of me, says like, well, you could fake that, or you can influence that or whatever, except you and I have had that experience. We've had that almost exact same experience.
Yes.
I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again, particularly because it's the exact same sort of evidence that they got on Ghost Adventures here. Kristen and I last year, around Halloween, probably right around this time.
It definitely was.
Yeah. We went out and we did a series of ghost hunts. And one of the places we went to is the grave of Mary Ellis in New Brunswick, New Jersey. And I climbed up to get a close-up with the grave and used a little temperature gauge. And I have footage of this. You can look at it. Right now it's on patreon.com/GTTUpod. As I'm pointing the temperature reading at the gravestone, the temperature is just going up and up and up. It goes up like 8 or 9 degrees just as I'm standing there, not moving.
No, it was very strange. And we ended up looking up like if temperatures in the kind of rock that they would use to make gravestones has like wild variations and stuff. Right. And it didn't seem to. So it was really weird.
It was really weird. And, you know, I at best, I'm a celebratory skeptic. I don't know. But like, I saw the same thing happen in this episode and I was like, that's a thing. I've seen that happen in real life.
Right.
It was interesting. I like seeing that. I like it when they show you something that doesn't. There are so many things that they do on this show where I go like, yeah, but.
It's semi-indisputable. Right, as indisputable as something that's been pre-recorded and shown to you is.
Exactly. And so I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But there was definitely other evidence that they got, which was ridiculous. One of the things that they do, one of the final things they capture in the episode is they try to play music that the Chumash would have played. Mm-hmm. So they blast it through like a boombox.
Right.
And then after they do that, they go, we also had left a recorder in another room and it picked up this sound. And it's music. And they're like,
I know.
Could it be that we conjured the music from the Chumash and this recorder captured? And I'm like, no. You were blasting that music somewhere else around here.
Right.
Isn't it possible that recorder just heard the music you were playing? Why does it have to be ghosts, bro?
Right. You conjured the music from the boombox that you tied to Aaron's butt.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that too? So they are continually using Aaron, quote unquote, as bait.
Yeah.
Whether it's making him ask a question of ghosts or in this episode, putting artifacts that belonged to the Chumash on his back, like on the upper part of his backpack, and then hooking a boombox to the back of his belt, bonking against his butt, playing music of the Chumash people. It's ridiculous. They treat him like a dog with a big XX barrel on his neck. They just
1,000%. And
hooked all this stuff to him. It's like, why couldn't Zach carry the boombox?
Nah, I can't do it. Well, Aaron Goodwin is the equipment specialist, the equipment tech. So he's the only one who could possibly have a boombox strapped to his ass.
Oh my God.
No one else could even do it. They're not the pros.
I love that they did that, but it was so ridiculous.
It was so strange.
Why would he ever need to? And yeah,
Poor
like
Aaron.
what's Nick doing? Why can't he hold one of these things? He had like a backpack, something above it, and then something below it. This guy's lower, like a back body was completely loaded up.
Yeah, it's completely true. Even like at a certain point, Zach goes like, we're going to use you as a bait again, Aaron. And Aaron goes, I hate you, dude. Like in that good-natured kind of way, but it's just like, yeah, this is the we know the formula now.
Of course you are. Yes, and you pointed out in last week's episode that the show always ends with Aaron like running up to the camera setup somewhere and squatting down and turning it off.
Yep.
And I noticed it as that formula for the first time this week. It's totally a thing.
Oh, yeah, it happened right here. Yeah, they're set in their ways, I think, is what I'm noticing. And I fear the calcification of their format. It will continue this way, unabated.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I have mostly watched modern day ghost hunters. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, yeah. What? That was like sacrilege.
Oh, my God. I'm sorry, everybody. Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
And I certainly, while watching it just for sport, haven't analyzed it in the same way, but I don't think that they calcify too much because, like I said, there's been the regular addition of the nerve center now.
Sure, yeah.
They've kind of dropped the lock-in aspect of it. They have other team members, and the show's been on for like 19 seasons.
Exactly. Well,
so they must have found ways to reinvent.
Yes, I think they probably had to at a certain point. Maybe it was something they realized that they needed to vary it up because we're only 3 episodes into season 2.
Right.
And I'm like, they just do the exact same thing every week.
Right.
And I wonder if it takes Nick leaving or if it is something that like they go like, oh, it's not going as well. We need some variation up in here.
I wonder.
Yeah, I just don't know.
I don't either.
But without a doubt, they still got the goods where it counts. There was a moment in the episode that I talk about strange moves. I felt like a lot of this episode was comprised of our crew laying around in beds.
They were laying in so many beds. I was surprised at how many people in general were laying in beds. One of the stories that we heard from a witness was from a reenactor who was sleeping overnight in one of the beds.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, that obviously must be sanctioned, but I was very surprised to hear it. Like,
oh, very surprised. Go home.
You were doing what?
Yeah.
Why?
Get out of bed.
Get out of bed and go home. It's so weird. And they felt themselves being choked.
I know.
When they laid down to sleep. So maybe one of the ghosts felt that way too.
Yeah, that's what you get for staying overnight in a ghost house.
Yeah, in like a basically museum.
Get out of there.
Really weird.
Stop sleeping in beds for the whole episode. It was very sedate. Yeah. Everyone was sleepy.
Yeah, it was sleepy.
But while Zach is laying in the bed, and this would have been I think a sick bed. This was like an infirmary.
Yes, it was.
Because at a certain point, the Spanish brought a disease which like greatly affected the Chumash, and tons of people died and were just unwell. So here's a quote from Zach in this moment. Were you laying here and suffering? And were you stiff like this when you had the disease? Did the Spaniards bring this disease and did they infect your people? And you had to lay here in this bed? And they quarantined you? And you had to lay here with your families and died from the disease they brought to your land? All question marks.
Yes, this was a long monologue. I definitely was watching this like, when are these questions going to end?
Never a statement in that entire thing. Everything ends with a question mark.
Oh, God love him.
Yeah.
It's so weird. And you know what? Yeah, actually, talking about it being a little bit sleepy, at one point, Aaron is talking to Nick and he says he's feeling creeped out. And Nick says, like, really? I kind of feel like at peace.
Yes.
And Aaron's like, what?
They don't dwell on that. I thought maybe they had used that at one point for a sting to commercial where I was like, oh, are they going to say that something is affecting Nick or, but no, they just move. It was just a weird thing Nick said. I feel at peace.
I know. And also later, honestly, when they were playing the music kind of late in the game during the part where they probably caught the music on the EVP, I found myself soothed like Nick.
Oh,
so
really?
What does this mean? Did the music kind of lull Nick into a chilled out state, or am I susceptible to something the same way that Nick is and it was reaching me through the recorded episode?
Oh no, Kristen. If that were to happen, would these be ghosts from even further back in time? Because this episode aired in 2009? You know what I mean? It's like a ghost jumping from 2009 to 2020. Mm-hmm. Weird.
Yeah, to just give me a little bit of chill.
Well, thank God that you're over there and I'm over here.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's jumping through technology. What's to say it won't get you?
That's true. That's a great point.
But you know what? If that's what it's doing, is that it's chilling you the heck out, I would say catch this wave.
Yeah, these are the chillest ghosts, bro.
Yeah.
There's also a moment where Zach made me think of the not great aspects of Michael Scott's personality.
Yes.
He's speaking to the Chumash, and I think he's doing a bad Native American accent.
Yes. I don't think it was deliberately a Native American accent, but I think it was this weird thing where you're talking to somebody who has an accent and isn't speaking your language, and you take on this like weird clipped thing like if anybody has heard Lindsay Lohan talk in like kind of a weird Greek-ish accent to like her friends in Mykonos, it's that sort of thing. It's like an indistinct, I'm talking to somebody with an accent affectation that some people take on.
It's funny that you're asking people in 2020, have you heard Lindsay Lohan speak? No one's heard her since like 2008.
She had a reality show about her beach house in Mykonos like last year, and so that accent was on full display.
Yeah, but you know that.
Yeah, but it aired on actual TV. It didn't just beam right to me.
I think that a lot of TV is just made for you.
I actually didn't watch that show. I'm just aware of it.
Okay. Well, then that's even worse. If that show was made and it didn't get you...
Oh, it's supposed to be really bad. Yeah.
Oh, boy. But so he says in just like a weird clipped accent, even to say it's a Native American accent, like...
No, there's just a strange... I don't even know how to do it. It was a quality of voice that he doesn't normally have.
It goes, Chumash Indians, you understand these words, right? I'm Zach. Tell me. He says, tell me your name. In here, talk. That's what he says. He says that on this show that was broadcast nationally.
I know. It's really crazy.
And then they get a sound that they claim is an EVP saying, come here. But to me, it sounded like, doing. Like, did you pick up on that? It sounded just like, boing. And then it said, come here.
I did. And there's another EVP that I thought sounded like a weird noise that I want to see if you picked up on. They said that they heard the noise of a baby crying.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it sounded like a fart. Because there was like, I can kind of see how you would hear crying, but like when they were playing the clip, it was like noise and then the crying. So it sounded like a fart with a crackle on the end. It was like,
Whoa, good impression of a fart. Maybe Aaron's ass was crying.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they actually captured the EVP from a tape that was in the tape recorder of the boombox.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was right on his butt, and that's what it was.
Maybe the boombox on his ass amplified his butt cheeks. It's like the most juvenile thing we've ever said on a show ever.
William, first of all, there's no way.
A boombox amplifying Aaron Goodwin's butt cheeks.
We've talked about farts and stuff before. I bet this is on par, but I don't think this is the worst.
All right. Yes, true. Okay.
Yeah. And
it's so stupid.
I know, it is so stupid. I will say that was my first impression of it, and then when they kept replaying the EVP, I was like, oh, okay, it's not. I mean, I didn't think it was that anyway, but I was like, okay, it doesn't really sound like that.
There must be fart EVPs, right?
Yeah, if I was a ghost, I guess I would do that. Why not?
We picked up a sound that appeared to be a fart. Like, I can imagine Zach saying that.
I mean, if you have to summon a lot of your ghost energy to get a voice or a sound through, a fart is like kind of a low bar, because sometimes also those come out when you don't even mean them to.
Yes.
So it seems like it would be easy enough for a ghost to produce. If they're trying to communicate with the other side. Talk about pushing a penny.
Oh, God. You really pushed a penny. It's a great euphemism for a ghost fight. Someone's pushing pennies in here. You know, you have Kristen's like cracking up right now. She's made herself laugh so hard. She like collapsed almost. Oh my God.
Oh God.
Pushing pennies. I will say, I think in this moment, you are as credible as any paranormal investigator on the planet. So the pushing pennies fart theory and the idea that they can summon enough energy and it should be easy carries as much weight to me as anything I've ever heard about ghost hunting.
As Richard Sennett?
Yeah. Oh my God, Kristen. Yes. Even what the Richard Sennett tells us in this episode, I believe that your interpretations are on par.
Oh, thank you.
Pushing pennies. Whoa, someone pushing pennies in here?
I've done a lot of research in this field.
Get an old priest and a young priest. Someone's pushing pennies in the barn. God. Yikes.
By the way, just so anybody, in case anybody doesn't know, when we're talking about like pushing a penny, we're referring to that scene in Ghost where that scary guy Buggy Ding Dong teaches Patrick Swayze to use his energy to push a penny in a subway.
Yes, of course. That to me is we've referenced that many times, and that to me is the ultimate explanation of how ghosts can interact with the living. You just have to focus all your energy.
Right.
And you may be trying to push the penny in front of you, but you might want to push one out back.
But say might want to push it behind.
Yeah, exactly.
It may be just as effective, if not more.
Oh my God, far more effective.
Yeah.
Talk about deadly.
Yeah. What?
Silent but deadly.
Oh God.
Good God.
Let's see. Did anything else jump right out at you?
Yes. There was a moment where in the chapel they all just start competing again of who's the most scared.
Oh, I know.
And Zach is saying, I'm getting numbed up. And then Nick starts going, I'm getting goosebumped up on my arm. Getting numbed up and getting goosebumped up.
Yes, and then Zach says he feels bumped up.
I feel bumped up.
Yep.
So stupid. Just little children. And because Aaron is the one filming all of this, they each keep looking at him because he's got the camera. So they're like looking at the camera and it feels like that.
Are you getting this?
It feels like the quality of like, Dad, no, look at what I'm doing. Look at me do a backflip. I can do a backflip too, Dad. Like it just feels like kids competing. I'm getting goosebumped up. I'm getting numbed up.
Look how scared I am.
Yeah. No, I'm more scared. I'm more scared.
Numbed up, bumped up, goosebumps.
Bumped up.
Oh God, it's so funny.
I'm getting numbed up.
Well, also, I guess that I'm not surprised maybe that Nick was getting goosebumped up because he seems to be a colder in temperature person or something. Because when they were walking up that mountain outside earlier in the episode, Zach and Aaron are sweating and Nick is wearing like a black coat amongst all of his other black clothes, and you don't see a bead.
No.
So he must run cold as it is.
I guess so. He's cold-blooded. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's been possessed for a while.
Maybe. That's right. Like the cold is just following him.
Well, Kristen, I have a sort of a reveal for you.
Okay.
But I think that we'll have to move on from this episode if you have any other thoughts before I get to it.
The last thing that I wanted to say is that something that I thought was kind of cool from the analysis of the video. And it's a quote that Richard Sennett references from the Bible. Apparently the Bible says the devil has the voice of many waters.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of badass. And he references it because he notices that an EVP that they have has kind of like a watery sounding quality to it. And so he says, well, the Bible says the devil has the voice of many waters. And I was like, that's a badass thing for the Bible to say.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing. It's very weird. I don't really know what that means or how to interpret it or what the context is.
Me neither, but I like the sound of it.
Yeah, but it's also funny to be like obviously if you hear water and you're thinking ghosts, you come up with some devilish explanation for it. It couldn't just be, like, oh yeah. No, there used to be a stream around there, but it dried up. Like it couldn't be, there's no other explanation. It's the Bible.
Right.
It's that the ghosts are referencing the Bible, or that maybe was the devil there?
Yes, I think maybe. I mean, it was just a really, really quick kind of like shot off sentence, but I think maybe the implication was that there was some sort of demonic something to that EVP.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's interesting. It's definitely very cool.
Yeah.
So here's what I found out. Because I keep notes on a lot of what we're up to and what we're doing, and La Purisima mission came up in my research not just for Ghost Adventures, but for another Bagans production. In 2011, there was a very short-lived, it only ran for one season, spin-off, where Zach Bagans hosted a game show. It was called Paranormal Challenge, and episode 9 takes place at La Purisima mission.
What?
Yes, and I watched some of it, and I took some notes to share with you and with our listeners at home.
Wait, how did you come across this? You said that...
Listen, I'm a severely organized person, so as soon as we started talking about doing Ghost Adventures, I put together a full spreadsheet of everything in the Ghost Adventures universe. Spin-offs, air dates, episode numbers. I've got everything.
Okay. I misunderstood. I thought you were saying like in the course of like Guides to the Unknown research this came up or something.
No.
Okay, I gotcha.
Just because I knew we were covering La Purisima Mission, I caught that they went back to this place, but for this spin-off show, Paranormal Challenge. So I took a look at it. It's a flash forward for sure. You know, we're still back in 2009 with Ghost Adventures, but Paranormal Challenge came out in 2011. The theme song for Paranormal Challenge, which I had never seen before, and again was canceled after one season, it seems, is get up, get down with the sickness. Get up, get down with the sickness. You mother, get up. Come on, get down with the sickness. It's that.
Okay.
That song disturbed the sickness.
Yep.
And they pit two teams of paranormal investigators against each other. They're going to go into La Purisima Mission, and they're going to investigate different zones and then swap. And I guess the idea is whoever gets the better evidence or has the better technique or whatever, they're being judged.
Yeah.
Zach, on the show, his like little Chiron introductory thing refers to him as the Paranormal Challenge chairman.
Okay.
Not host. Not like Zach Bagans of Ghost Adventures. He's called the Paranormal Challenge chairman.
He's an interesting person.
He sure is. It's a lofty title to give yourself on your spinoff show, but
yeah,
it's deserved, I suppose.
I think he likes to keep it unique.
He does. He likes to be special and distinct and different, and he's accomplishing it.
He likes to be the only person who has XYZ. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that's why he has weird things in the Haunted Museum.
He's the only one.
Yeah, right. And so he's he's not just a game show host. He's the Paranormal Challenge chairman.
Yes. On this show, the two ghost detective teams are taken around La Purisima Mission by Richard Sennett, who's come back from the episode of Ghost Adventures, and he's sort of telling the story of the area. Then the two teams break up to do their investigations at night. One of them is called Paranormal Hot Squad, and it is 3 women. And I think they're very religious. They do like a prayer at one point for safety and stuff. The other team is 3 young men, and their team name is literally Ghost Bros.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is very on
interesting.
The nose.
Yeah.
And so now Zach is monitoring while 3 judges watch an array of monitors to see what the teams are doing. And their techniques, I think, are kind of inspired by Zach Bagans because they keep trying to provoke the ghosts. At one point, someone from Ghost Bros evidently says, I didn't see this on camera, but one of the judges referenced it. One of the Ghost Bros says, "I'm going to kill your women."
Oh my God.
Presumably being one of the Spanish soldiers speaking to the Chumash to, I guess, provoke and get a response. So the judge goes, "I'm going to kill your women." And Zach starts to go, "Is that what he said? I don't agree with that. That's not right." And I was like, I had a weird moment of like, correct. It is not right. It is not right. I've also seen you drag a noose into a room where a guy had killed himself to try to provoke the ghost, the ghost that committed suicide.
Yes.
Like, I'm not saying those things are equivalent. And I'm not trying to be like, well, what about this? But it just provided Zach the leverage and the position to distance himself from what someone did on his show. You know what I mean? Like,
well, also, I mean, it's one thing for him to do some of the morally questionable / wrong things that he's done kind of within his bubble. But if he's with other judges who are like peers of a sort,
right,
you're held accountable in a different sort of way.
Yes.
So there's kind of inherent social pressure to be like, you can't do that.
Yes,
even if it's
agree.
something that he would have done by himself.
Yes, it was very weird and aggressive. And again, I didn't see the Ghost Bros say it. I heard the judge refer to the fact that they said it.
Weird.
Weird crossover evidence. One of the Ghost Bros says that he thinks he heard the sound of a baby crying, which is something that they caught in Ghost Adventures, which almost verifies to me maybe it was there. Maybe this kid watched that episode of Ghost Adventures. Also, you thought it was a fart, so maybe he heard someone pushing pennies. I don't know. They needed you there.
Again, William, we've talked about how on both our shows, on our main show, Guides to the Unknown, and on this show, I've been wrong lately. I'm on a losing streak.
You are on a losing streak.
I keep saying things that are incorrect.
Yep.
or criticizing William for something, and then it turns out William's right, I'm wrong.
I am overjoyed that the pendulum has swung back the other way. I have been wrong for so many things over the course of our lives.
I don't like it.
Now it's your time.
I don't like it.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to say that I feel like, to be completely honest, even though it's dumping on myself, this kid hearing a baby crying, it's 2 against 1. I heard a fart. 2 other people have heard crying. I'm going to say it's probably crying.
Kristen, I'm going to say, I'll tell you this. Number 1, you definitely heard a fart. Right? It's not what I heard, but it is what you heard, so you heard it. Number 2. Skip number 2. Number 3. I think this kid on this show, this Ghost Bro, watched the other Ghost Bro show. I think he must have seen Ghost Adventures, and he was deliberately providing the same kind of evidence that he had seen Zach previously get.
Right.
Because then he can sway the judges and yeah.
No, I get
that's sort of what I think.
Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. There's too much potential to do it. So it makes complete sense. But nevertheless, I did enjoy seeing that on Paranormal Challenge, they got a similar kind of evidence.
Right.
As had previously been gotten on Ghost Adventures.
No, that is cool.
It lends credence.
Yes.
It doesn't mean
It doesn't prove it.
It just lends the credence for a moment. And then you return it.
Snatches it back.
Snatch it right back.
Did you enjoy Paranormal Challenge? Was it a fun show to watch or what?
It seems messy to me. It seems messy. The format is a little bit odd. These things are all so subject to interpretation. It's even like on a cooking show or something, even still you've got like judges who can judge the technical aspects, but you, like us, the audience, we can see the food they made. We can see the result of somebody eating it, and are they happy with it? Watching this, where it's all just about people walking into rooms and yelling at nothing, it's just so wishy-washy.
Yeah. That is hard to have a contest around.
Yes. I would definitely watch more. I sent you the link like 5 seconds before we went live.
Right.
So I think you might get a kick out of it as well. The last thing that I have to say about it at all is that one of the members of Paranormal Hot Squad, I wrote down what she was saying. This was her technique. It was similarly provocative. She's lying in one of the beds in the infirmary. Again, a lot of lying down at La Purisima.
Just because there's a bed doesn't mean you have to lie in it, especially on an investigation.
A ghost made this bed, I must lie in it.
Although I guess you could say it's an investigation technique.
Yeah, I guess so. Sure. You know. Who knows? She says, I don't like the dead messing with the living. Why don't you hit me? I'm not scared of you. Come on. I'm not scared. I can kick your ass.
Oh.
And then at a certain point, she's done doing the bed stuff. She stands up and she goes, we're going to move on. See you later, coward.
Oh.
She just throws one last insult like over her shoulder. And leaves the room. I was like, that's not fair. They didn't have time to rebut that. They didn't have time for the rebuttal.
Well, I mean, you could say they could follow her. Maybe it was just one last provocation.
It seemed too aggressive. And again, the judges and Bagans in some secure location are watching this and occasionally being like, well, I don't like that. I don't like the way that they're handling that at all. They're being very aggressive. Funny. And it's just like, well, if there were judges watching everything Zach Bagans did, they might also be like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like this. This is weird. This doesn't
feel good.
This doesn't feel good at all. But there you go. La Purisima mission, not only on Ghost Adventures, but on spin-off show, Paranormal Challenge, headed up by the Paranormal Challenge chairman, Zach Bagans. Chairman.
Man, what a reveal that was, William. Thank you very much. I did not see that coming.
You're welcome. It's the full breadth of La Purisima in the world of Bagans.
Truly. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to the show. I hope you'll go check out our main show, Guide to the Unknown, where we talk about the paranormal and pop culture every single week. We've been doing it for 3 years now. So there are over 150 episodes for you to dive into. And if you're listening to it in real time, we are in the middle of what we're calling Slashtober.
Yeah.
Where all of October, we are spending our time talking about slasher movies. So go enjoy that. You can find that show, our Patreon, our merch, and everything we do over at gttupod.com.
Yeah, if you enjoy us reacting to weird stuff on television, also up on patreon.com/gttupod, we just watched a bunch of clips of anytime slashers have been on TV. So that's Freddy Krueger cameoing on the Goldbergs. That's a bunch of Scream sketches on Saturday Night Live. Chucky the killer doll appearing on the WCW. We watch the clips. You can watch them with us in the video version. You can listen to them with us in the audio version. It is super fun. And if you like us watching Ghost Adventures and going, what? Check that out, because it was super, super ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure. That was a real time.
Yeah. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us. If you have anything else to say, you can always reach out to us online.
That's right. I'm at Chillin' Kristen, and we're also everywhere at GTTUpod.
And I am at The Myth Traveler. So we will see you next time for more ghost hunting goodness. But until that time comes, we're Guide to the Unknown.
And these are our Ghost Adventures. Pachow!
Hacha!
Yeah!
I really do think reversing the format could be good.